Got to give the people. I said the people. Get the people what they want. All right. Early Saturday morning, Mr. Bass. I'm getting this homework ready so you all can do your homework. Let's get it. We're talking about finding the vertex of quadratic equations and graphing. All right. So remember, I can find the vertex of any quadratic equation from standard form. This right here is standard form. Something before x squared plus something before x plus c. That is standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, remember, if I want to find the vertex, I can find it straight from standard form. There's multiple ways I could do it, but one way is to go straight from standard form. So the vertex is negative b over 2a. All right, so this is the equation that gives me the x value of the vertex. So if I plug that standard form equation work in, the negative b over 2a is going to give me the x value of the vertex. But also, I'm going to have to find the y value of the vertex. So to find the y value of the vertex, I plug x back into the original equation and solve it. All right, so we did this in class, but now we're just kind of solidifying it, making it more organized. So for example, find the vertex of each quadratic below. So let's do A. All right, so I have this quadratic. It's in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so how I'm going to want you all to do it is I'm going to want you to tell me what is A, what is B, what is C. Go ahead and tell me that right now. You did it before me. A is the number 4 because it's before the x squared. B is negative 2 because it's before the x term. And C is 6 because it's the constant. So if I know that, and now I know the vertex, I'm just going to write it over here so we can see. Remember, it is negative b over 2a. That's the vertex. So I'm going to do negative b, so negative 2 over 2 times a. Right? So that becomes positive 2 over 8. So the vertex becomes, what is that? 2/8, which is 1/4. Boom, boom, boom. And now, if I want to go ahead and find this vertex, so now I would do 4 times 1/4 squared minus 2 times 1/4 plus 6. Because remember, this is y equals. I just plugged it back into this original equation. Now this is a little bit uglier than what I hoped for, but that's okay, because we can still do it. It's good that y'all see some other work anyway. Okay, so let's do it. 1/4 squared is 1/4 times 1/4. That's 1/16 times 4 minus 2 times 1/4. 2 over 1 times 1/4 is 2 over 4, which is 1/2. So that's minus 1/2 plus 6. Well, 4 times 1/16 is 4 over 16, which if I simplify those is 1/4. So this all became 1/4 minus 1/2 plus 6. Ooh, I like this fraction word. So now I got to do 1/4 minus 1/2. So that's 1/4 minus 1/2 is the same as 2/4. So that's negative 1/4. So negative 1/4 plus 6. Woo, look at this. I'm doing fractions. I'm feeling good about myself. I don't need a calculator. I can do fractions because I know how fractions work. So this is basically negative 1/4 plus 6, which is 6 minus 1/4, which makes 5 3/4. That's what my y value is. So my ordered pair for this one, when all is said and done, is x was, remember, 1/4. And when I plugged it back into the equation, when x was 1/4, y was 5 3/4. Since that was longer than I expected it to be, all good. I'm just going to have you label A, B, and C. What are the A terms, the B terms, and the C terms for the next two problems? You don't have to actually calculate it all. All right, so what are A, B, and C? Pause for this one and tell me what A, B, and C are, because it's important that you see it. All right, well, A comes from whatever happened before my x squared term. So that's here. So in this case, let me move this down because I feel like we're going to talk about something. So in this case, A was -1. B, ax squared plus bx plus c. B comes from whatever's in front of my x term. This doesn't have an x term. So literally, this is -x squared plus 0x minus 9. This and this are the same, right? So since it doesn't have an x term, the b is 0 and c is -9. So you've seen that one. Find A, B, and C for this one. You paused, you did that. You're like, okay, A is easy, A is 2. B is easy, B is -6. And hopefully you were like, well, C is easy because this is plus 0. So C is 0. Bang, bang, bang. All right, let's finish this thing up now. We are going to be putting it all together, graphing from standard form. So we're going to sketch a graph of each one. We're going to do 1, maybe 2. We'll see how long it goes. All right. So let's sketch the graph of this one. -x squared plus 6x minus 8. All right, cool. What I need you to do is factor it first. Find the x-intercepts. Second. Find the vertex. Third. Pause and do that right now. Cool. You just did it because you're a good student and you do the stuff that you're asked to do. I appreciate you for that. All right, so let's factor this thing. First thing I notice is it has a negative in here, so I'm going to factor out, because we don't want x squared to have the negative, so I'm going to factor out a -1. So I'm going to take everything and divide by -1. So -1 is my GCF, and I get positive x squared minus 6x plus 8. Cool. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to factor this piece. So let's see, boom, boom, boom. I think this should be quick. X squared 8 needs to, blank plus blank needs to add to -6, and blank times blank needs to multiply to 8. I think I could do that. 8, -6, 2 times 4 is 8. -2 times -4 is positive 8, and -2 plus -4 is -6. So minus 2x minus 4x, boom, 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 x minus 2 minus 4. So I factored this thing, bink, and I get x minus 2 times x minus 4, and I know the whole thing is negative. Okay, so now I know my x-intercepts. I got to set each of these equal to 0 to find the intercept. So x minus 2 has to equal 0, and x minus 4 has to equal 0. Boom, boom, boom. X equals 2. Boom, boom, boom. X equals 4. So my x-intercepts, whereas when x is 2, y is 0. And when x is 4, and when x is 4, y is 0. So those are my two x-intercepts. Now, I need a vertex. Well, the vertex is -b over 2a. So if I take this one again, I have -1 times x squared minus 6x plus 8. I know that a equals 1, b equals -6, and c equals 8. All right, so it says -b over 2a. So I'm going to go -6 over 2 times a. All right, -6 is +6. That's 2. So my vertex, 6 divided by 2, is 3. So for my vertex, it's a point, and it has an ordered pair. So far, for x and y, I know that x equals 3. So remember, this is a function. This whole thing equals y. So if I know that x equals 3, how do I figure out y? Well, I plug the whole thing in. So I'm going to rewrite it. -1 times 1 for x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals y. Right? So that whole thing equals y. And I'm going to plug 3 in. So I get -1 to find my y value, since I already know my x value is going to be 3 for the vertex. -1 times 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 8 equals y. Notice how I kept these parentheses here because they're important. So if I'm going to do Gemma, I got to work inside this parentheses first. Grouping, I'm going to work inside the grouping. Inside the grouping, I see exponents. So let me keep my grouping. 3 squared is 9 minus 6 times 3 plus 8. And this is all times -1. I still have grouping. I see multiplying, so I have 9 minus 18 plus 8 times -1, because I did that. And I did multiplying. Now I'm looking for adding and subtracting. I see it. I go in order. So notice I'm still working inside this grouping. 9 minus 18 is -9 plus 8. Still inside the grouping, I have -9 plus 8. And notice I had never lost my -1, which is -1. Okay, and finally I end up with -1 times 1, which is 1. Y equals 1. So in my vertex, the y value is 1. Go ahead, 3, 1. Now let's see how this makes sense. If I look at just the original, notice it's negative. Remember, it started off -x squared. If I look at it in factored form, notice it has the negative out front, which means this thing should be opening downwards. Well, let's see if we graph our points. Remember, we had our x-intercepts of 2 and 4, and our vertex of 3 and -1. So let's see. Just go ahead and just sketch a graph. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My first x-intercept was at 2, 0. Okay, x is 2, y is 0. There's the first one. My second x-intercept was at 4, 0. Okay, x is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Y is 0. My vertex is at 3, 1. Okay, cool. X is 3, y is 1. Look at that. If that's the vertex, that means this bad boy is pointed down, and that means this parabola looks like this. There it is. There's everything. We are done. We're going to get a lot of practice with this next class. You're going to have an exit ticket. Hopefully it's not an entrance ticket because you all are going to do your homework. I'm out. Peace.